Hello, my name is Dr. Feldman, and I was the resident working with Mrs. Romanoff on the day of the incident. I first heard about Mrs. Romanoff when I was coming out of my fourth surgery for the day, and Betty, the nurse, came to tell me about her. While she was trying to talk to me and tell me about the baby's decelerations and Mrs. Romanoff's pain, I had two other nurses telling me that I had one patient crowning and one patient having severe pelvic pain, and it was very overwhelming with so much to do, and I had been awake for 24 hours, so I blew Betty off. I told her to send Joan, the medical student, in to see Mrs. Romanoff, and to which Betty rightly protested, saying that Mrs. Romanoff needed more expertise, but I didn't listen. So I sent Joan, and when she went to see her, she immediately called me, and we took Mrs. Romanoff back for a C-section. Once we were in the OR, I tried to explain to Dr. O'Leary what was going on with the patient, but he wouldn't listen. We were preparing to begin, but Mrs. Romanoff's spinal wasn't working. She wasn't numb. So Dr. Becker, the anesthesiologist, wanted to wait for the spinal to work, but Dr. O'Leary had concerns for the baby and the baby's decelerations, so he ordered Mrs. Romanoff to be put under general anesthesia. Then Dr. O'Leary waited for Mrs. Romanoff to be asleep, and he decided to start the incision. Right before that, me and Dr. Becker protested, saying that Dr. Becker needed to intubate the patient before we could start the C-section, but Dr. O'Leary went ahead anyway. While Dr. O'Leary was doing the C-section, Dr. Becker couldn't intubate. The jaw wasn't opening properly. She was a class 2, and he was unable to intubate her. So Mrs. Romanoff's O2 sats dropped, and Dr. Becker called a code because she needed a trach. The code team took way too long to find us, and once she was trached, her O2 sats did come up a little bit, but we still lost Mrs. Romanoff. My biggest probably regret is not advocating for my patient and having Dr. O'Leary wait to start the section until after she was intubated, or waiting for the spinal to happen, or having enough staff to have fresh nurses and fresh doctors. There was a lot that could have been done differently, and we lost a patient because it wasn't